Jonathan. So now for the grand finale of our program this evening, I am excited to introduce Jena Griswold, our first Champions of Democracy Award winner, and recognize her for her heroic efforts to defend democracy. She is presenting this year's award. Give a big hand to our incredible Secretary of State, who we are going to work so hard to re-elect in November.
Thank you. You guys sit down. You don't have to stand up. But I do have one question for you guys. Are you ready to win in 2022? Are you ready to win? Yes. You know, you guys were there with me when we flipped this seat for the first time in 2017. Or in 2018, we started in 2017. This is what happens when I start speaking after 7 o'clock on a Sunday. And we flipped the Secretary of State seat. I became the first Democrat to win since Eisenhower was in the White House, the youngest Secretary of State in the nation, which I continue to be. By the way, I'm still younger than Jena Goose, so don't forget that one. And it was thanks to the Boulder County Democrats and parties across this state organizing and getting out the vote. I couldn't have done it without you. And 2022 is going to be just, if not more, important. It was an honor to receive the Champions of Democracy Award last year. And as Secretary of State, I worked to strengthen our election security and access. I led the largest democracy reform in the nation, adding voting centers, adding drop boxes, passing parolee reenfranchisement, automatic voter registration. We guaranteed access on every college university, every public university in tribal land, seeing a 20% increase in tribal voting in just 2 years. That's what our work means. Then in 2020, suddenly the right to vote was threatened. A worldwide pandemic and the President of the United States trying to steal the presidency. Our very democracy was at risk. So what happened? We got to work. We increased access here in Colorado and helped almost every state in the nation expand vote by mail for all. And despite the obstacles, 2020 was a resounding success, the safest election in American history, with record turnout coast to coast among both Democratic and Republican voters. By the way, Colorado had the second highest turnout in the nation, which I'm counting on you guys to get up to #1 in 2022. Our democracy endured 2020, but across the nation right now, democracy is under attack. 33 voter suppression bills passed last year. Over 500 have been introduced in states across this nation just since January. Election workers are being threatened, and insurrectionists and big lie candidates are running to be the chief election officer, secretaries of state across this nation. And you know Colorado has not been immune to these attacks. We face the nation's first insider threat when Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters, working with QAnon and the My Pillow guy, compromised voting equipment in an attempt to prove conspiracies. I acted quickly, decertifying the voting equipment, and a judge removed her from overseeing her county's elections in 2021 and 2022. But I'm not sure if you guys heard the news yet. This woman, who cost her county $1 million in replacing voting equipment, who is under 10 counts of criminal indictment, who has embraced extremism, even applauding on stage as election deniers called for me to be hanged, just won the Republican Assembly to run against me as Secretary of State. That's why 2022 matters. Peter is a threat to democracy and unfit to serve as Secretary of State. And you guys know, I will always protect our elections. I will always protect the right of Coloradans and Americans, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or unaffiliated, to have their voices heard and elect the people they think will best represent them. Democracy is literally on the ballot in 2022. But it's more than just that. We saw what happened last week with Roe. Can you imagine? After 50 years of precedent, a Supreme Court led by conservative justices, several of whom lied in their confirmation hearings, are taking women back across this nation. Can you imagine a draft legal opinion, a draft legal edict from the Supreme Court that compares women having children to the need for a domestic supply of infants? That Supreme Court does not see us as equal people. That Supreme Court does not believe women are true Americans. All of our freedoms are on the ballot. How we win our nation back, how we protect our fundamental freedoms, our democracy, is getting the vote out. That's why this is so important that you all are here. The fight for voting rights is not over. And in 2021, I was honored to be the first recipient of the Champions of Democracy Award. And I'll tell you, there's champions of democracy right here and across this state. The purpose of this award is to recognize someone who has made a lasting contribution to democracy through public service. And this year's award, we actually have one award left. This is the last award, and this year's award goes to Attorney General Phil Weiser. Many of you know that Phil clerked for Justice Ginsburg. In 2019, in partnership with my office, Attorney General Weiser argued before the U.S. Supreme Court during the last case that Justice Ginsburg heard to defend Colorado's democracy and ensure that presidential electors follow state law when casting their ballots for the Electoral College for the person who wins the most votes in our state, rather than acting as free agents. I'm honored to present Attorney General Weiser with the second Champion of Democracy Award. The Attorney General could not be here today, but has a video to accept the award. So please join me in applauding him as the 2022 Champion of Democracy Award.